Hey, this is John Crane with the Sagamore Leadership Initiative, and we're excited to be with you again today for another leadership conversation. Today, we're going to focus in on the concept of servant leadership. Sometimes we don't always think about those two words being together, servant and leader. We tend to think of leaders as being up front, being out there, taking charge, giving command. We don't often think of them as servants. But the very best leaders are those who recognize the importance of serving those around them. You know, it's very difficult for us to think about serving others in today's culture because oftentimes there is a self-focus that we want to feel important. In fact, my grandfather always used to say that every person has an invisible sign on their chest that says, "I want to feel important." And isn't that true? That we all want to feel like we matter. But sometimes that natural feeling plays out in ways that become a me-first mentality. How can I show everybody how important I am? And we're not looking for ways to pull ourselves back in order to push other people forward. It brings to mind an experience that I had and my family had years ago. We were invited to be part of a commercial photo shoot. It was actually a TV commercial that was going to be shot, and they needed people to kind of be in the background. It was a cafe setting, and they needed some families to be sitting in the booths and things like that. Well, my wife and I agreed to do it, and we had 4 smaller kids at the time, and we were warned ahead of time, look, this is going to take some time. It may take hours. And in fact, it ended up being about 6 hours. As you can imagine, that was a long time sitting in that booth. And so they would shoot the commercial, and then they would yell cut and take a little break, and then they'd shoot it from a different angle, and the director would yell cut. And after a while, you're beginning to get hungry and thirsty. And I remember hearing somebody say, "Hey, would you all like some water?" And I said, "Sure." And I looked up, and it was the candidate that was running for office. He was running for governor at the time, and he was the star of the show. But he was walking around with a water pitcher and volunteered to fill all of our glasses with water. As he stepped away, it gave me an opportunity to have an important conversation with our kids and say, I want you all to understand exactly what actually just happened here. In this particular environment, that man right there is the most important person in the room. He has all kinds of people that can help him and staff that can meet our needs, and yet he's the one that came around with the water pitcher and filled our glasses. That is the picture of a servant leader. And that candidate went on to win and become the governor of our state, and 4 years later became the vice president of the United States, Mike Pence. And I've never forgotten that no matter how high an office he attained, he at heart was still a servant leader. That's a good lesson for all of us. Titles are simply tools. And we have the opportunity every single day to serve the people around us, to add value to their lives, to try to see the problems that they have and try to meet the needs that they have. But in order for us to do that, we have to have eyes to see the situation and a willingness to act. Sometimes we may have a willingness to act, but we're just not paying attention. Or maybe we're paying attention and go, hey, somebody really ought to solve that problem, but we never assume that somebody should be us. And yet, I believe that we're there in that moment for such a time as this, to be the person who can serve the people around us. And if and when we do that, I'll tell you this, you'll never be lacking in friends, that's for sure, because all of us want to hang around people that are there to help us. But also, you'll be in a position to do great good, to meet those critical moments in a person's life where you can add value. And isn't that what we all want? We all want to be able to make a difference. And one of the best ways that we can do that is to be a servant leader. That's my challenge for you, is are you looking right now for the needs that are in your space? The people at your school, the people at work, the people in your community. Maybe it's a person on your ball team. Wherever it might be, who are the people around you that need a friend today, and how can you be that friend? So take a few minutes and work through the questions associated with this leadership conversation so that you can pull out more takeaways with this concept of servant leadership. It doesn't mean anything if we don't apply it to our lives, and this is your opportunity to do just that. So we'll see you next time.